4 teams will fight today to avoid elimination and make it all the way to Ascension. As we continue this lower bracket run, welcome back everybody to VALORANT Challengers North America. I'm going to be your host for today, Dryad, and on the desk, I'm going to be joined by Emily and Gompers to talk about this elimination. We're in the lower bracket in the second round of eliminations. Yesterday, we had to say goodbye to 2 of our teams in Gompers. Today, we have to say goodbye to 2 more.
Oh, and that's so sad, man. We followed the journey of everybody throughout like the season, and then now watching teams that once were so dominant and still are, honestly, just be knocked down to the lower bracket. But that just goes to show there is only 1 team or 2 teams that really will make the cut. So, man, overall, yeah, DZ, Oxygen, and TSM and Blinn, which it's surprising to see them down here because they really do surprise.
And yesterday we had said goodbye to Fluffy Aimers, who lost their match against Dark Zero, and to Sad Esports, who lost a 2-1 match against TSM. And these are the teams that we're going to be watching today, are Dark Zero and Oxygen. Emily, this is one of the matches that we expected to be actually in the upper bracket. These are the 2 teams that a lot of people thought were going to represent North America and Ascension, and now only one is going to move forward.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell who's going to make it forward because both of these teams really show that they want it. And when both teams want it, it's like going to be a full-on battle. So I'm excited for these matches today of these 2 teams.
It's going to be exciting. It's also going to be dramatic. The teams having to say goodbye, as Gumpers was saying, is nothing easy, especially because we've been watching them from the beginning to the end of the year. We have a video, though, to get in the mood for where it's going to be this Dark Zero and Oxygen matchup. Let's take a look.
A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Definitely earlier in the season. Split 1 when we lost to like 2. I don't even remember who we lost. Oh, we lost to MXS. After that, I had to like have a one-on-one with most of my teammates, if not all of them. And I was talking to them. I was like, if we want to win the season, we need to lock in. Just because we're talented on the roster doesn't mean we're gonna outperform these tier 2, tier 3 players or whatever. All of the advantages that we would have coming into the tournament would probably derive from us having efficient practice and just being in the correct mentality. I think that's the major difference. It wouldn't be like something like, oh, we have Dapper, he's a veteran, because in Valorant that doesn't really matter. It really just depends on how we play and how efficient we are leading up to playoffs and timing our run, you know?
Also that Empress.
Okay, wow, just go in the smoke and Redux takes you right out. Now you've lost one. How are you going to work around this? And it seems like it's not going to be easy. Already everybody else going to the extremities, and a Vandal picked up, and it's big off Redux if they can find more. And they do. There's one more that just needs to be taken away. But at this point, Redux has pretty much led them to a sense of victory, and the ace is theirs.
I feel like we just work the best when, I don't know, we should have like the energy. It really starts with that. We need to just have the energy and have the comms and stuff like that. We got to be talking a lot. We got to be like there, like present. Sometimes me included, sometimes, you know, I'm just like not there. I got bad sleep or I just stayed up late the night before and I'm tired, and you know that like ripples and it affects the whole team. So when everyone is there, when everyone's present, when everyone's calming a lot, talking a lot, has high energy, that's when we're at our best, and that's when we're playing our best.
Adder would need to win this first. He's ready for it. Great jiggle. Pig shuts down Cypher counterpart. Roll theft. A lot of information now.
Yeah. Adder, good for the opener. Chance at this to try to maybe isolate, but it could just be an easy swing. Although it doesn't happen.
My God!
All the players, they need to show up today if they want to avoid elimination. And as we've talked about, move forward, try to make it to that Ascension Tournament that is going to take place in Mexico to eventually also represent North America in what is going to be that Tier 1 next year. So Emily, let's dive into this first team that we just heard a little bit of B-Dog talking about being locked in, everybody playing together, everybody being connected. And this is something that we've seen overall for this team, a sense of consistency that you need today, especially when all of the pieces need to be on to avoid that elimination match.
Yeah, I really loved how B-Dog was talking in that interview about how important it is to have the right mentality, getting the right amount of sleep. It's very important, as myself as a player, to get all of these things in. Having a ritual is very, very common amongst these players, and if they talk about, okay, we need to get good sleep tonight, we need to make sure that we are studying and just kind of fitting everything in as a whole. I really like that mentality from B-Dog. This team has a lot of incredibly talented players. I mean, we saw Adder doing a lot of clutches. Corey isn't afraid to get ground for his team too. And then we saw this tweet from We Did yesterday after their win versus Fluffy Aimers. He says that they want to give a shout out to Rockets for stepping in when needed the most. Team noticed that I had some energy and asked if I wanted to finish our run together. Win or lose the season together. One last run. Thanks for the support.
That's gotta make you emotional. I mean, like, reading that, it brings, like, I don't know, it makes me kind of, like, sad, because it's the honest reality for, like, not only DC, but, like, the same feeling that I'm sure Oxygen are feeling right now. Such a tough run, going through challengers, you know, and whether or not this is the last, I think the attitude of, you know, we did our best, and I'm really, really proud of our performance, and I had fun, this and that. I think that's so charming coming from We Did.
It's very sweet, and we follow the journey of this player, everything that he's going through as well, all the medical stuff, and still fighting and trying to make it and win as a team or lose as a team, no matter what. They're going to be playing it together. And last match, just yesterday, we got the chance to see them back with the score. It was not the sub Rockers coming in, it was them playing with the 5 that they started with the Turtle Troop squad that they started with, and they continue to fight match after match to make it to the end, Emily.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like after watching this game versus Fluffy Aimers, you could kind of feel their energy. I mean, they really gave a really good match to watch. I mean, it was a clean sweep, in my opinion, versus Fluffy Aimers, and that's not an easy team to beat. So having We Did in is just this extra motivation. I mean, look at... Hold on, I got distracted by what the heck was going on. This extra motivation from We Did and just inspire. I'm even inspired. I mean, if you're not inspired by this, it's just truly motivational. So I feel like they're gonna go in today, like, you know, go hard or go home.
It's just what you need to do for an elimination match, and especially when it's against a rival that is so strong. We look at not only these 2 matches, but in general, they've played each other a bunch of times before, whether it was this year or last year, and it was always a back and forth between the two. The last time it was the Darkseer who took the win 2-1, and the question, Gumpers, is if they can do it again, because Oxygen is also so good.
Dude, Oxygen have been improving like crazy. Again, the repeating trend for everyone, just knowing that they have to improve. Everybody's just looking for a way in to beat the best team, not only within Challengers, but in North America in general, right? So, but for that, I feel like it's a challenge. It's difficult, but I think for Darkseer, we've seen a lot of the time, you know, this team be able to surpass, be able to get the rematch, and be able to do it again. More so like Fluffy Aimers, they lost the last time, and they were able to pull it through, right? What we saw previously for the side of Oxygen, right? Losing the first time, being able to pull through the second. And I think this team, they know the stakes, they know how hard it's going to be, but they're willing to put that work in.
Something that we've seen for this team of Darkseer is that as a team, they play amazing, but individually, Emily, are also really good. Let's take a look at this Adder 1v3 clutch, because this is just the kind of thing that he does.
He is, and Adder's a player that I noticed, especially on this map, they'll leave him in a site alone. I mean, he's got a 37% headshot percentage in this match. That was insane. And that, oh, this is what happened after that. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
They typically like to leave Adder alone on this site, I noticed, because they trust him. He's really good on Cypher. Utilizing those one-way cages that he has are super cheeky. And he's also he's just going to be making them guess where is he, and that's good because then the opponents will have to use more util to find him.
The way they closed out that round and that whole series against Fluffy Aimers with that 1v3 clutch from Adder is something that nobody was expecting, but Adder, as you're saying, Emily, he's been incredibly consistent. One of the best, if not the best Sentinel that we have right now as a contender to make it to Ascension. And Gumpers, now we get the chance to look at the other side because they also have very good individual pieces on this team of Oxygen. This is a team that for so long was undefeated until they lost that match against Dark Zero.
Dude, man, against Dark Zero, and then, you know, just previously obviously being dropped down by M80. So they had a rough run. They were doing so good in the beginning. This team, the cohesion is crazy, right? But once they start losing out on the mental, it starts to get messy, and then things really do start to fall apart. And I think that's, if anything, the biggest weakness, because we've seen Redux play, right? We've seen Dapper obviously have these clutch moments. This team is unbeatable when it comes to aim, when it comes to those individual mechanics, but then when things start to fall apart, like I said, it really just, it takes them out of the game entirely. And for a rematch against Dark Zero, they know what to expect, they know what they're going up against, and I feel like it does give them a little bit more leeway here.
And I feel like whenever you press tab for Oxygen Esports and you look at the scoreboard, usually it's dead even. Everybody is even across the board. It's not one person carrying in particular. Everybody shows up for their team when it's needed. And this is just an exciting team to watch because they've been playing together for a long time. They're very established. They know what they're doing. The match where they lost, which is why we're seeing them today, versus M80, was also a day of 9 threes. It looked like it was going to go their way.
And they turn it around and they make it happen. And I like that point that you mentioned as well, Emily, because it's a team that is not, you know, it's not just the duelist, it's not just the initiator, it's not just one of the players being the impact, it's everybody coming together and making this work out. But they need to make sure that it's going to be consistent throughout this series. And one of the guys to make it happen, Gumpers, is Mitch. He is, I mean, he does it all, and it shows in the stats.
No, it truly does, and I'm excited to see what Mitch has to offer now too. Like, I think overall against M80, yeah, they lost, but Mitch totaled an average of 18 assists throughout, I believe, 3 games. Ascent, I guess I'll call that a half game because it was a 13-1, but Mitch is crazy. Mitch is absolutely insane. I think overall, when you're looking at an initiator, when you're looking at somebody who's going to allow you, you know, some sort of space onto the site, not only that, but a fearless leader, that's where Mitch comes in.
Something that I want to take a look at as well is how these two teams compare when it comes to stats. Emily, you as a player, you as somebody who has competed in the past, when you look at all of these, it's a lot of numbers, right? But what is the one that you are paying attention to the most for this match?
For me, if I was going to break it down preparing for my team, I would look at their post plants number 1. They're number 1 in the stats and breaking 76% round win for post plants. So if I'm going to be going against this, there's a few different counters. One is you could allow them to come on site. That way you're keeping your util and then immediately flooding and flushing and making them uncomfortable as they're trying to get the spike down. This could be a really good counter because, like you said, you don't want them to get comfortable in their post plant positions. So that's another way. Of course, you could just try to let them not even get on the site, but I think this could be a really good look around. And then we're looking at, I mean, just overall Oxygen Esports rankings, they're just much more higher in comparison to Dark Zero. So this is also, I mean, it's a double-edged sword because Dark Zero has a lot of VODs and a lot of content that they can go back and watch to counter whatever it is that Oxygen Esports is doing because they're so good in these areas. Pistols is pretty dead even, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. So my counter, if I'm Dark Zero, I would look into this post plant percentage. It's really high for Oxygen Esports, so you just really need to make them uncomfortable either as they're planting or just flood out the sites with your util.
Yeah, either try to shut them down before it happens, before it's too late, or have a very well thought of plan, which is something that we've seen for Dark Zero do constantly, especially when we saw that match that we talked about, Gumpers, against the 2, and that's the way the Dark Zero won for the first time, when it was the Oxygen that was being the favorite. We thought they were going to beat them. We thought that it was going to be that undefeated team, but it was a Dark Zero that had a different story to tell. Now, let's jump into the map select, though, Gumpers. Let's see where we're going to be headed. Last time that we saw this match, it was a Sunset, a Bind, and a Haven. Let's see if it's going to be the same or something different.
I believe, yeah, going out from Haven and the first pick down to Lotus, which doesn't necessarily surprise me on the side of Oxygen. This is one of their best maps, rounding about for them. They're very, very comfortable here. I believe there was a loss against Dark Zero on Lotus, actually. I'm not sure. I'm trying to take a look. No, it was not on there. But for Lotus, it is a map pick that I feel fits comfortably. Actually, my apologies. DZ picked that, so I'm trolling. Never mind. I lied. DZ are really, really brave.
No, you're right. You're right. It's pick defense.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm correct. I actually lied again. I lied again. I'm a liar.
We got it.
Thank you, guys. Anyways, I digress. Please take the stage.
Emily, what do you make of these? The only one that we're seeing that is one that was played out on that last match was with that map of Bind, and we might or might not get there.
I would love to see Bind. These two teams on Bind, I think, could be really impressive, especially because it could be the third map, do or die, you gotta go home. I think this could be where we could see some incredible gameplay from both teams. For Lotus, I don't know, Oxygen Esports just has such a larger map pool in comparison to Dark Zero, and Lotus is a very, very strong map for them. They have, from stage 2 till now, 100% win rate on it. They've won it 5 times. Their attacking side that we were talking about is so good. They're so good at that post plant for that. And from stage 2 till now for Dark Zero, they haven't won it yet. They've played it 2 times. So that could do or tell of what's going to be going on for that. So next up is going to be Icebox. I don't know what you think about that, Gompers, which way Icebox could go. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty mid on that. I'll be honest. I feel like Icebox is for Oxygen. I feel like Icebox is a map where you really do have to be pretty synergetic, and I feel like Oxygen, out of both of the teams, they have such a good variety of that. I don't know. I say I'm in the middle for that. I feel like we're going to the map 3, so
Yeah.
I'll leave my hands up.
What I'm thinking here between these two teams is that it's going to depend a lot on the way that we're going to start for Lotus. Something that we've seen for Oxygen throughout the matches, especially the matches that they've lost, is that they get momentum and they might sometimes get carried away by it.
Yeah.
So if they have a very strong half and they start losing those rounds, they start losing the 9-3 half, as it happened on the last match, then things get a little bit more complicated. It's going to rely on them being resilient, being able to bring it back when they lose a couple rounds, being able to carry on that momentum from that first half into the second half, from that map 1 into the second map. Or if not, it's just the vibes that are gonna end up carrying it away, and just the way that Dark Zero, brand themselves to be is just, we're a vibes team, we're going with whatever happens, even if they need to change the composition, because for a lot of scrims they said that they haven't played with we did. So you're going with the vibes, you're going with whatever it takes, and whatever it takes with a new composition, with a dual list, and that's the way that you're gonna win. But before we continue, we're gonna give a shout out and thank our sponsor Blacklight for understanding that the gamers, whether it's gonna be the pro players or us here, we need to be comfortable, and that means being comfortable with your desk, being comfortable with your chair, being comfortable with whatever you're doing, whatever game you're playing. When you're playing Valorant, you want to be getting an ace in the most comfortable situation, being able to play for 10 hours in a row, as I do sometimes, I gotta be honest. So thank you so much for our sponsor for supporting this Challengers playoffs and this Challengers finals. And now, Gompers, you were giving me a yes, no, maybe. Who's winning this match? Give me your prediction, and I want a strong, confident prediction.
You mean the whole thing or the first map?
Okay, fine. First map.
Okay, first map, I'm saying it's Oxygen. I think Oxygen for sure. This is like I think this is a destroy map for Oxygen.
Okay. And Emily?
I think you have to go for Oxygen. Like I said, they're just too good on Lotus and those post plants. But I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to the whole BO3. I'm rooting for Dark Zero. I love their story. I want them to do well. I'm going to go for them winning the whole BO3.
So we're thinking map 1 goes the way of Oxygen. With the way that they've been playing this map, they look insane, but in the long run, it might be the Dark Zero run. And this could be exactly what happens. Last time it was the 3 maps. Let's jump into the Agents Selecta. Let's see if there's going to be anything different, anything new. And Gompers, it continues to be a little bit of the same for both.
Yeah, it's not looking too different, honestly. The Breach, the KO, coming in for actually no KO this time around for Dark Zero. So they did make that difference into that fade, which I am liking quite a bit here. I'm interested how the fade is going to work on both sides, but the deadlock I've been growing really a really big liking to. I feel like we've seen a lot of impact on the deadlock, and the fact that it's now taking like huge popularity is really fun and new, and it's so fresh.
We're going to see how this one is going to play out. Is it going to be Oxygen continuing to be undefeated on this map of Lotus since that second split? Or is Dark Zero going to have a story to tell right from the beginning and start it strong? We're going to find out with your casters, Isvans and Lemon.
Thank you so much, Triad, ladies and gentlemen. Blacklight.
It is I, Blacklight, the best gaming cherry competing in North American Challengers.
I agree, Vans. Great analysis. We're going to be heading into the most exciting match, I think, of this whole tournament. Oxygen versus Turtle Troop, now reformed as a Dark Zero. Incredible. I mean, it's the mid-season cup finals, Vans. Get in your chair. Get excited.
Woo! Get me in here!
Can we get in the game, please? Can we get in the game, please? Jesus. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, this is definitely going to be a very fun game. It's a back and forth. It's been gone through so many series between these two teams, from challengers to off season, going head to head, but always Oxygen most of the times getting the upper hand out of these series. I think they met each other like 6 times so far, where Oxygen has defeated Dark Zero most of these times. But this is going to be a very interesting map and an opportunity here for Dark Zero to really come back in the game on Lotus, because Oxygen haven't always been the best on Lotus, and it came out with a different comp change. And if you've witnessed this, they played this against M80 the last time, and their attack side was, or even their defensive side, wasn't the best. So you're hoping for them to get as many rounds as possible here on the attack as they start off on this side as well. And then we'll see how the story will switch around here when they're going to play the defensive side.
Both these teams just became allergic to running Cypher all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I do like the deadlock there from Dapper. They're going to continue running exactly what they did before when they won an OT against M80, one of the best teams. But Dark Zero B-Dog has to hold down on the defense, and Oxygen are getting crunched at the corner. They don't know how to advance. And really, progress is going backwards. Just Oxygen didn't know how to get out of that spot. They didn't know how to fight back. They got lost in the sauce. And it's all up to Scuba to pick up the pieces for Oxygen. I really missed when Oxygen brought out the Clove. That was peak Oxygen on Lotus. But changing things up as the meta has, and especially in a high-stakes tournament like this, Scuba is going to at least get some orbs going as best as he can, but it's just delaying the inevitable.
Pretty much, and you're noticing as well that they're playing a double controller comp, which is going to make things a lot more difficult as well, in terms of usually you see a Gecko or a Breach, some extra utility to really try to support your attack redux going into the site. But this time around, you kind of just had your Scuba staying far behind, because with this comp as well, you had to figure out where the pressure would be coming from here from the defensive side. So you almost were defaulting a bit, having a late lurk, which also didn't allow for you to have a paranoia to flash your teammates into the site as well. So the stack that you had from Dark Zero to start things off, super easy for them to close things out and get a strong upper hand here. We already have an Outlaw coming out from Choreo as well in the second round. A high-low setup with B-Dog. They're probably going to try to walk peak, even avoiding this haunt. This is going to do huge damage.
Yep. Did enough damage to kill someone too. Wow. Corey, first blood. Oxygen, starting to follow the definition of insanity. Going to C, just hoping to walk in, do their best. And you know what's not at C? A Killjoy. And you know where Oxygen are going? Where the Killjoy is, at B.
And thankfully, there's in this bonus round that you currently have here for the defensive side, you haven't really placed both of your nanoswarms either, so there's still an opportunity to really walk in. But you kind of have a 3-man stack with this turret. And Timmy the turret is going to spot the guys trying to come in here.
Oh my. Training practice for someone like Adder. Even with the turret too, even turret gets in on the action. Dark Zero have not been touched at all, it feels like. They are very chilling. Now they can bring those weapons into this round as well. Full buy up for Oxygen. Hoping to have a good gun round, because there's not really much potential in these offenses in terms of throwing utility on the site. Even on the first pistol round, they kind of walked in, sat in a corner, got shot, and went to round 2.
Man, that's the thing, though. For Dark Zero, they're not afraid to play out in the open in these high-lows because they're not going to face against big flashes aside from the paranoia if it's well-timed. So they've given their tail a little bit for the last 2 rounds that they don't mind facing against the action at the very beginning and even break the util that's going to come towards them. So Oxygen are going to have to start realizing that a little bit more and work that map a little bit better and maybe try to leverage Mitch more. And you're already looking here, 121 left in the clock. There's no Prowlers, there's no Haunt. So what else do you have where you're going to try to enter the site as a group in your gun round against the bonus that's still very good for Dark Zero here?
And Mitch has been opening the B-Link door, and this pulled rotations from C. Like Corey was originally holding the Outlaw around the tree in the stairs area on the right side of the map, and now he's been pulled towards B. And now they've cleared that. Where is Oxygen? There were smokes blocking these two teams. Oxygen, no, they have this window to engage. They're already getting set up. On the other side, a Prowler was thrown from Stellar just to see, is there anyone on the site? Even the Haunt was thrown, but only on the one half. Oxygen have planted for free, and another first blood goes in the way of Dark Zero. So Oxygen, this team play, it's a little too cold. It's not spicy enough. And Corey even misses the satchel on top of the box. What is going on?
Yeah, well, at least they have all the group there, so this is going to be a very good flood. There's still flashes, aftershocks. They can still do good damage on the retake here for Dark Zero.
Yeah, Dark Zero on the retake. Now Adder missing. 4v3 on the post plant. Oxygen have eyes on the spike as B-Dog and We Did. No, they have to fight through this. The smoke is not going to be enough. And yeah, the kills come Dark Zero's way, but the defuse is not going to have enough time, so Oxygen will have signs of life.
This is still huge, though, for Dark Zero. Even you saw the push coming in from Oxygen. Yes, they moved in as a group. They had the perfect wall towards the staircase, but they played further out. Look at the line. 3 of them playing outside for a spray. So yes, they blocked the staircase, but everybody's just watching that one singular line, which then means everybody else could still flood from tree side, from right side of A site, and it was free for them to take for Dark Zero. And when you mention the amount of utility that's still left for B-Dog, it just makes it so much better for you to fight back against Oxygen on the post plan. They lost every single one of their players, and it was Dark Zero's bonus round. So they have an opportunity here for Oxygen to get their economy reset. Oh my god, that was a nice try.
Corey is so good. That was a well done steak, and no one loves that. But I love the go get 'em play, thinking maybe Oxygen had a weaker buy than they did. They went for light shields, and some Vandals picked up. And Oxygen
nice try
checking
well.
out. They looked both sides of the road, attempted to anyway. At least it was a trade.
Mm-hmm. Something common that we've seen in the past, too, with this type of composition, where you try to go for a Fade Seize, and then you went for the Rocket, usually with the Showstopper, but this time Corey tried to do it with the rifle behind the Paranoia, which allowed their Weeded to get that forward position in the boxes. He had a perfect sneak attack onto Verno, but not enough here. Didn't know how many players were behind him, so he got traded out quite easily. So now things calm down for a bit for Oxygen. They have an opportunity to really reset the economy of Dark Zero on their side now, as they have the player advantage. And on top of that, now that you've lost your Brimstone, thankfully, this double controller setup that you have, you still have Scuba that allows for you to smoke inside the site. You just saw the second smoke come back up. They're grouping up together, and this is going to be a hard hit towards C, where Stellar will have to be ready for this. He's at a one-and-done position.
Hoping to take someone with them. We'll call the orb being tapped, and there's all the util being dumped in. And did Redux get hit by his own breach util? That really messed up his entry. Either way, Stellar capitalized. It got more than what he bargained for. Annihilation, though, is kidnapping Stellar. 7 seconds left for Oxygen to plan. They will get away with it unless Adder gets the denial. And that will win the round for Dark Zero.
B-Dog once again, even getting the last kill onto Mitch. So, yeah, the breach fault line was a great call, but it was actually a fault line that came out from Dark Zero. You saw the positioning from B-Dog just playing towards the door. So with Stellar playing that one-and-done position, and he hears the execution coming in, he's going to call that fault line straight through. That's going to fully stun Redux, get the kill. It's a 1-for-1, but then it all came down to the gun battles towards the end. So they got the first pick. They played a 3 versus 4, yet that small fault line and Stellar's position just didn't allow Oxygen to really set up, and you saw We Did play on his own there for that kill.
It looked like the offensive breached the way that it was lined up towards the side, but yeah, they don't have that, so that makes a lot of sense. Oxygen will be peeked at by Stellar opening up tree door, and this will get Corey with the outlaw to set up, getting the elbow of Mitch, getting the spike down, satcheling out is big, and now WeDid has a crossfire at Baby Door, hasn't actually broken the door yet, and this will be off the contact of Dark Zero being near the A site. This is some good paint shells too from Corey just to pressure them back, and now the Prowler too. I mean, Oxygen are just eating Util for breakfast. Now knowing Stellar, or at least someone is in tree, Oxygen are gonna try and crunch on it, but it was bait all along. Corey with the showstopper gets 2, and a quadra kill for the duelist to give Dark Zero the win.
And WeDid is back with mopping the last kill with the backstab, and that was perfectly played there. I thought it was pretty much over for Corey when he was playing with that outlaw, trying to go for no scopes in a pick, but thankfully he had a showstopper to really not allow Austrian Esports to get into the site and get into positions for a pulse plant for their Thrifty. So not only that, you saw the amount of util that went around too, that allowed Corey to get so many successful kills rather with that showstopper and anchoring within that site. And again, this is a round that's running away here for Dark Zero so far. Oxygen only playing this map twice so far since stage 2 and lost every single time.
Oh,
yeah,
Corey tried it again, and just Oxygen are very aware of this. Stellar, are they gonna want to creep past the smoke? That would be really ambitious. You're hoping someone like Adder rotates from B, or someone like Stellar pushes up more with B-Dog, but Dark Zero know they're at a disadvantage right now, so you don't want to be too over-eager.
Yeah, it might be over too. I mean, you look at the utility that's left. We were praising how much B-Dog had in that second round that they had on the anti-eco, what he did on that third round for the bonus. But this time on an early 5 versus 3, when he was trying to unload the payroll to support Dark Zero to fight back against the showstopper Redux and can't get any kills, you're playing a 5 versus 3 now for OXG. Against minimal utility coming out from Dark Zero. You already see players pivoting across. They're going to try to gamble one thing, but as soon as B-Dog dies here, this might be over.
Oh, the Nightfall for Oxygen, and then they just kind of flip-flop on the side of the door, and B-Dog can't get the read. So Oxygen have an opening. They've dwindled Dark Zero down to 2 members, and this is how Oxygen try to catch up in the score, and they'll also get to keep all of these guns into the next round.
Exactly, and this is perfect so far for Oxygen. They're moving in to get these picks. They got entries with the showstopper, and now they could go back into, I mean, this competent self already. You're forcing yourself to be or very explosive as a group towards one end, or default a little bit more. And I think the next round is going to be a little bit more quiet, where you're potentially going to try to leverage the next ultimate that's available here, so you can cycle the next one. That'll be Verno with the orbital strike rather within the next round. So I wonder if Dark Zero want to try to challenge this a little bit more on the C mount at the very beginning, just because again it doesn't feel like you're able to get out too quickly or well enough here without the showstopper towards the A side for Oxygen.
At least Dark Zero are trying different things, trying to change up their aggression, whether it's Corey flying at them and now getting punished twice in a row, to Oxygen taking their time. They're very patient and regulated with their approach, and this has been some successful pushes towards A to get the job done. Now C has been a different beast for them, and I'm not seeing Adder switch up the setup here for this Killjoy to maybe want to go towards A or C, but now he's more set up on the C side solo, hoping that Dark Zero stack more at A.
And you have a perfect rate for Dark Zero, so Satchel's coming out, the Haunt. No flashes to come behind, and that's where it was going to get difficult usually to try to take control of the rubble that I was trying to say before. But it's not being challenged yet for Dark Zero. They want to hold back, and this might be a costly mistake here if they have Verno trying to move in to grab this orb. But at the end of the day, it definitely looks like a mid to be split, where B-Dog is going to be left alone here to try to fend against the world.
B-Dog can just fall back a bit, use the flash to his advantage, even using it to slow it down. He'll use the aftershock to do so, get himself around a safe corner. WeDid is smoked off from the shadows being used there by WeDid, and he gets punished. He's snuffed out by Scuba, and the plant will ensue on B. But Dark Zero are around the corner, coming in at multiple angles, and Adder through the CB link door, which could be an important backstab for Adder right next to Scuba and Verno. And clearing out these smokes would be so important. There's Adder's swing. He'll go 1 for 1, and Verno will live on. Orbital strike now from Verno to keep this defense off the spike. Dark Zero have eaten enough time. It is time to act. But as they swing in, Oxygen have a perfect crossfire setup, and B-Dog knows it.
They definitely need a more utility coming out here from Dark Zero from the backside of B before at Waterfall in the Heaven, before Adder could really try to move in and open the door to fight, because losing that fight on a perfect trade setup between Scuba and Vernal allowed the orbital strike to activate and delay the clock even more. You needed to try to shut that down at the very beginning here with how Oxygen were really set up here in this post plan. But look at this utility that's going to come across, like a Paranoia allows for you to get in very quickly into sight quite well. But look at those sonic sensors that came through, a net that was being thrown. Yes, he grabs Redux in the process, but Redux, it doesn't matter. He's got his teammates watching with him and he's staying crouched. That's good enough to get your kills when you're playing close range. So they had great positioning there. Just for Dark Zero, a little bit of miscomms on how they wanted to retake the site when they were so heavily lean from the spawn side of the defender side. So that said, that resets the economy. Dark Zero are going to be on an eco. There's not going to be any type of like surprise plays coming through. Just trying to get some leveraging, trying to leverage the sheriffs into the long range as Adder's already being challenged down to half health.
And leverage that B-Dog Vandal too. He was sitting at B, just allowing him to be flexible, whether the hit was coming C or A. Nightfall and Lockdown, you're wondering, is that going to be something that Dark Zero want to invest? Depending on, I guess, how the mid-round goes. As Oxygen, they've already head back to spawn, not really happy with their approach to C.
Yeah, playing, again, you only have this single initiator. Both Prowlers, Haunt already down, so you just kind of have to stay through spawn. See if the hits are going to be coming through when you're holding this default and you want to try to pivot back. And what do you have to re-hit now? Scuba's too far away to try to get the Paranoia through, so you're kind of giving a tell, just throwing your Haunt and trying to walk across behind a Brimstone smoke. This is being, as it's being checked by Stellar, this might be a call to start pivoting some players across, because with 40 seconds left, they need to read this a little bit better here, and it seems to finally be the case. You see this pivot coming through. Look at the radar. The blue circles are now moving across and leaning towards the A side, so they're moving in the right moment here.
Oh yeah, they threw utility at Baby Door, but the hit is actually coming A, and Dark Zero had the read, but Redux has the better shots, and they just know exactly where Dark Zero are coming from. Look how forward to Redux is too. As he here weeded on the right side, he's being sneaky, but Verno has the corner. Watch, won't spot him out and even get him through the box. Dark Zero haven't put a dent into Oxygen, and with the Sheriffs, that's what you would expect. But even B-Dog not able to get any kills with the one hero Vandal. Not gonna do well. So Oxygen tied up 4-4.
I'm starting to think here that maybe you want to try to get an opt-out as soon as possible, but Oxygen Esports have been doing a very good job keeping a Dark Zero economy quite low. Again, when we talked about there's not too much flood that's going to break line of sight against the defenders, and you saw the value that Corey had on the Outlaw in that second round, then you probably want to try to get that opt out as soon as possible again. Unfortunately, though, because we talk about the economy staying fairly low for Dark Zero, they're going to call out a timeout and try to figure out what they can do with the rifles. It was starting to lean quite early towards this A side, and now it's just going to be what's the next step after, right? Because for Oxygen, it's been 3-4 player lean towards C or a 3 player lean towards A. If they're going to gamble towards an A site to fight on the defensive side and nobody's there, do you want to start pushing through and starting to flank behind because you don't have a heavy sentinel flank watcher, because Dapper is going to be used to execute with the rest with his walls? So that might be the conversation coming through for the Dark Zero camp on how they could salvage as many rounds as possible here on the defensive side.
And not only that, but the lockdown and the Nightfall that they still have banked up, where Oxygen, because they're running this double controller, it takes a lot of time. They're kind of playing this element of surprise, trying to play as hidden, as quiet as possible to really make Dark Zero second guess, to really have Oxygen catch a weaker sight. And sometimes Oxygen take a little too long. Like there was one round they dropped because they tried to plant C with 10 seconds left, and they got shot and it was over. So Oxygen have found a good middle ground since then. But yeah, lockdown, Nightfall for Dark Zero. It's going to be what they have to use, with mostly Vandals being bought.
Yeah. And look at this. As they're still fast pivoting for Oxygen towards the C site, on the A side, on the defensive side, they were just ready to fault line and really pinch against a second wave push towards A. But instead, it's a gamble that didn't pay off, and they're going to have to play a 5-player retake here against Oxygen's post plant.
Oh, and with this deadlock too, this can really lock down the site. That is why Dark Zero really had to go in prevention mode to not let Oxygen even get in the first place. When is this nightfall? And when is this lockdown gonna be used? It's the lockdown as plan A. But that may not last long at all. It's already been destroyed. Plan B ensues, and that is the nightfall from Stellar. And Corey will satchel in to make the most out of this moment. And through all of this noise, paranoia, Oxygen don't know where the threat is coming from, but they hold their own. Mitch in the corner does his best, and it's Bruno and Scuba that are left. And an Oxygen win 4 in a row.
Dude, that was so good from Oxygen Esports. When you saw for them to just flip the map and try to push forward towards Waterfall, knowing that the lockdown was available for Adder, knowing that there was going to be some sort of a fast retake behind a better timing once this wall breaks here from the deadlock that was thrown by Dapper, then it just went through, fought, broke the lockdown, and there's nothing really that Stellar could do because it was netted inside the Omen smoke, and he couldn't get away, and he had no support because everybody else was getting ready to flood towards the back of the site. But when you're flooding towards the back of the site, what was there? 2 sonic sensors, just to stun players back. So again, this is such a good comp for when you're actually able to get inside the site. And Dark Zero, they can't give the space to Oxygen.
And we did pushed a bit solo there. It wasn't fully synced up. The timing was just a bit off, and Dark Zero couldn't even trade in that moment. And this was already going to be a disadvantageous round for Dark Zero, running mostly Sheriffs and then using tools in that last round.
Got Showstopper here, though, for the defensive side. This could be pretty good.
All right, offensive Nightfall from Mitch, trying to hit A. Dark Zero around the corner, but on the flank is Adder. But Bruno has the read, didn't finish the job. There it is, plant going down. And Oxygen already pressuring back Dark Zero. What? Annihilation? Who's the lucky guest? No one thought someone was on the other side of the site. The Rolling Thunder for B-Dog in a 1v2 situation, and now only one remains, and it's Dapper, who has eyes on the spike. B-Dog knows based on the plan where it could be, and just the swing was too quick.
I know that Redux was saying here in the videos before we started the game that it doesn't really matter, like Dapper that has the veterancy, the experience, whatnot. It kind of does here in these moments on that 1 versus 1. He got hit by a Rolling Thunder against your B-Dog, who was about to clutch this out. And instead of just waiting out for a tap, he just knew that after the Rolling Thunder, the space was going to get gained. And then he has no choice here for B-Dog to go for a tap and maybe try to bring it halfway while he still thinks that his opponent is stunned and further back. So he just finds the timing, gets the pick, and wins that 1v1 perfectly here. Then that is a sign of experience. It's a sign of a good Sentinels player that has been grinding this game since the inception of VALORANT in 2020. And now Oxygen pivoting towards A side with the Showstopper.
Oh, Redux gets caught by like a fall line or something, and now he's all stunned up, but he didn't catch that player in the corner! And Redux again, you won with the Showstopper either. Adder almost was the worst teammate ever, but he's dead, so it's fine. Oxygen climb up the rope, and A-Site has been non-stop successful for Oxygen. 5 rounds in a row, and it's looking like gonna be a 6 in a second. Dark Zero don't have ults, but they still have Stellar's util. Probably will reveal Verno being close, and he'll go 1 for 1. We're left with a man advantage for Oxygen on the post plant. The Haunt eliminated, but revealing that player close is big for Oxygen at least. And they're on a tear.
Dark Zero, unfortunately, here it's been what, 3 or 4 rounds that yes, of course, there are a couple of these rounds though in the past 3 rounds, 4 rounds were them being on a lower buy on half buys and on thrifties. But in these gun rounds, they're still giving too much space here for Oxygen to really get in and not really trying to fight back here. At least they're trying something towards B main. But again, the leans from Oxygen has always been towards the extremities. And Oxygen have realized this for the last few rounds. They've just been deathballing as a 5-player take and just holding one gear into a site. And it's starting again. And where's the defensive side? It's weak side towards A. Thankfully, there's a continuous push. So we're starting to see it now. And they're going to try to get this flank. And it's going to be a quad flank.
Oh, it's all up to Scuba. There's a fragger on this team, and I couldn't get the headshot onto B-Dog. Great patience, though. Dark Zero can push in. This forces the decision out of Oxygen. They pivot into B. At the top site will be Adder, who is smoked off. But no, this is a deep rotate at the back of B through Waterfall into C, and then leaving the barrier behind, so it's even more difficult for Dark Zero to put
They're
on the
doing
chase.
a little bit of an M80 by going through B to C and putting a wall behind. Not a stage wall, but a deadlock wall. Still works.
The plant still happens. Now Dark Zero kind of playing on the offensive side of things. The Aftershock and the Orbital Strike to clear out the one and done position. Now knowing the threats are at the back site. So Dark Zero, here's the retake. Corey, which is a small satchel in. One step at a time. Redux trying to suss out who is close, where the fire is coming from. Dark Zero trying to work as a team, but they can't land the shots. Oxygen lead with so much confidence, but a 2-on-1, this could go anybody's way. Corey stunned, beautiful work out of Dapper once again.
That is such a good call from Mitch as the IGL there for Oxygen on how they just worked around that map. I know that he probably didn't know there was going to be 4 players flanking, but at least knew there was going to be some sort of pressure when Scuba just got picked off and saw 2 players there. So instead of pivoting towards the B side, knowing that the push was coming from B, they're like, oh, let's just gamble towards the C side. Worst comes to worst, we fight a 4 versus 2 inside the C side, or a 4 versus 1, and we could still play the post plan. But instead, because of this 4-player push coming out from Dark Zero, they had to play a full retake all the way out from the entrance of C side and got fully denied. So that was unfortunate because I thought the read was still pretty good for Dark Zero. It was very important for Adder to stay alive so the others could flank. But then the weaknesses you saw, the pathing that went from B to C was over. But this round, Pistol looks like there's more aggression coming out from Oxygen towards his offensive side on C.
Oh, that's deep. Redux following in after the haunt, thrown by Mitch, and you have Dark Zero running away. And it's Oxygen that know they are undefeated on this map. This is their territory. They won this against M80 recently in OT. And it really shows the experience and the wealth of strategy that they have. Oxygen get even more orbs for their trouble now that we did has planted 1v5 with a not so friendly face on the other side of the smoke, but swinging in gets 2 for the road. It's not too bad. It will be Oxygen with Pistol.
Yeah, and that's actually a good shout. And thanks for correcting me on that one as well, Lemon Kiwi, because I was looking at the opposite. It was actually Dark Zero here that's been struggling on this map, but the struggles, rather, were still there for Oxygen when they were playing against M80 on this map. There was still a 9-round lead that they had against M80, and then when you took the defensive side, when you're playing, a 3-sided map, you kind of saw just M80 having their own way at it to really bring back the game to a closer matchup and push this into overtime. That said, though, you still see the aggression coming out here from Oxygen because of that weakness of not having a hard, scannable KJ or a Cypher with a camera or a turret. So they just went for a wall, they played for the retake, and they crunched in towards the C side, which really took down Dark Zero and took them for a spin at the very beginning.
Dapper just pressuring through the smoke, not wanting Dark Zero to be too elusive on the other side and too free to move up. Will force some hesitation as B-Dog gets ready to fall line or flash into tree, where Mitch and Scuba trying to place their smokes, trying to have a good position for this paranoia, but the fire just came to him a little too fast. And Dark Zero trying to brawl through, and there's also a deadlock barrier separating the two, making it difficult for maybe the duelists to get around. And it's a 3v2 with Redux having a judge. They'll want to maybe play this on the site, but seeing what position he could force out with the paint shells. Redux has that in his hand, throws it to his left, satchels after with the judge, with love right in B-Dog's face. But Dark Zero will be climbing slowly back into this game.
And that was an expensive round still for both of these teams, right? You saw on one end, it was a gun round no matter what for Oxygen, but then on the other side, it was actually a force buy to come through because of what happened here in the story of this game, where Oxygen really had the full control here of this first map, and Dark Zero just really didn't want to try to play for the economy being built up on Oxygen's side. They went for a force buy, and it paid out on their end. Oxygen's going to be forced on an eco, and they're just playing a little bit more standard at this point. So still an opportunity here for Dark Zero to capitalize string 2 rounds in a row and play against here, especially after that punish against the eco of Oxygen.
Yeah, the Haunt that Stellar keeps throwing out kind of doesn't allow Redux to maybe satchel in, and he'll be discovered before he could really do anything. And Bruno thought he was free to push up, but Dark Zero, yeah, we're still in A lobby, so a deficit for Oxygen. Dark Zero are pretty desperate to get some rounds and some economy in their favor. They'll just start nading in, and Scuba, I think, was placing some util down, so got caught by the paint shells, and Dark Zero just salt to the wound. Want to bulldoze into the site. Now open the door to kind of fake it as Oxygen round the corner to get vision, and as they do, Oxygen can go 1 for 1. But with their forces diminishing, it leaves Redux to have to clutch this with just the Sheriff.
Might be able to pick up a Bulldog. There you go, left behind by Corey too, who he had great pathing going into the site to open it up in the first place because he found the timing behind Dapper throwing the barrier mesh at the very beginning here in front of the C site. And now all angles being watched. Free kill for We Did once again. And Dark Zero is able to capitalize on a second round in a row. And economy is going to be pretty decent, though. This is now going to be considered somewhat of a bonus round that you have for Dark Zero. The only one investing into this round is going to be Corey. Maybe could go for a Stinger buy. Maybe they could go for orb farming as well, because having a showstar could be quite important going in for the team. And instead, it's going to be Adder buying him a rifle so he can have a full gun round against Oxygen, who have Annihilation ready this time around. 4 players leading on this side, too. Of A, rather.
Yeah, they know that Stellar has thrown a haunt pretty often at this A side, and this is where the Annihilation could have been thrown out early, knowing you're almost guaranteed a target. So someone has been chosen, and they got the one-way smoke. So yeah, Stellar is now liberated, but dropped the spike. Imagine the lottery that Oxygen just got. Out of all the people they could have pulled with the Annihilation, it's the spike carrier. And now all you need is Scuba and Verno to just layer up the smokes, cover your B tracks, and this spike is stuck.
That net was so nice from Dapper as well. So you're definitely seeing here that they've been ironing out a little bit of those pain points on their defensive side and really just want to fight aggression every single time. A 4-player take. A net grabs, I think, like 3 people too, and now they have full spike control. This might be kind of it, but they've fully given up the A side. There's still an opportunity here for Dark Zero to move up, pick up the spike, and then maybe even fight back here towards A. Because there's only Scuba watching it so far from the top of the staircase, and it's so passive.
Oxygen is going to let him have the spike. No one's looking at it. Because Scuba was at staircase and doesn't even have eyes on it. I don't even think he spotted the rubble cross. And they had B site covered, so Oxygen are more just trying to cut down the rotates than cut down Dark Zero from picking up the spike. So now the time is running out. Dark Zero only have this choice to go with, which is to plant A.
They'll get it.
And Oxygen can't do anything about it. I thought they would have pushed more aggressively out of Baby Door from B, but
it's also fine here. Yeah, there's still 5 players coming through for Oxygen, so they want to play the Flood retake around this Paranoia and Molly from Verno. I mean, Mitch is going to throw a haunt too. It clears out towards tree, and now you anchor inside the site though for the last 2 players of DZ.
Oxygen's very healthy still. Just gonna go finish off what they started. Tap on the spike, gets the attention of B-Dog and Adder. Oxygen will go up to 10 and a few rounds away from continuing their win streak on this map.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes down to that, Oxygen, they don't care if Dark Zero is going to go for a plant. They'll take the round any day. And on top of that, when they've won it with, 5 players that were still alive, if not maximum losing 1 player in that previous round, the economy is going to continue to be very good here on their defensive side. So Dark Zero, unfortunately, not really finding a real answer on how they could work the map on this heavy aggression, and Oxygen is pulling out on both extremities every single round. But they're always pivoting one different player. Always it's going to be here so far Verno on the C side and then Dapper on A. So this time you're trying to leverage Verno potentially with a stim packet. They want to keep moving very aggressively, and there it is. Paranoia behind. There's a push.
Redux is not kidding around. Have you seen this guy? He's out for blood, and he's the one hemorrhaging at the seams as Dark Zero is the firing squad. As Oxygen couldn't really do much of a dent into Dark Zero, but going for the high-risk play. And you heard Oxygen, they're such a vibes-based team, and they know how experienced and how confident they are on this map. They really went for it, but great job by Dark Zero to retaliate And now it feels like the map is theirs, or this round. Well, the map control is theirs.
Yeah, potentially even the round 2, 4 versus 2. And the last 2 players are kind of isolated between Dapper and Scuba, but you know Dapper, he's probably going to try to go for a play solo.
One enemy remaining.
Doesn't work out for him. Scuba up next, 2 away from the shadows, so orbs here matter. If he can get some kills and even make this expensive. I mean, look at Dark Zero's economy. There's some people who are getting onto the broker side of things, so Scuba denying rifles would still be very valuable in extending Oxygen's lead in the future rounds. Even just getting exit frags would be the best thing he could do. Not knowing what kind of high-low or any kind of setup crossfire would be on the site. He's going to try and leave, but E-Dog has his number, and this is going to be easy for him.
Still a great call coming out from Stellar on Dark Zero's side so far to just slow down the pace a little bit. Don't be fully extended towards these extremities, towards the mound or towards rubble at the entrance because of the aggressive pushes that are coming out from Oxygen. And you saw it where they tried to do a very similar play to what Dark Zero was doing on the defensive side, which is crunch very aggressively with haunts, with satchels, with a brimstone stimpak on top of that to try to catch your opponents off guard. But the difference is now that you have an opportunity to see the whole roster on both sides, look at what you have on your right side of the screen here for Oxygen. They don't have that extra piece of utility that could stall players or slow them down from like a fault line that's usually combined on that pinch. So when Oxygen is still trying to chase after them and hunt them after the initial satchels, well, as everybody's still holding back towards the spawn, Dark Zero is just owning them right after. And that's probably the problem of not having Dapper with you when he's forced to anchor up towards A just to try to slow and delay on that side. So I guess this timeout is probably going to have to come down now for Oxygen to figure out like, oh, okay, they might want to be playing towards spawn now. Do we want to play a little bit more defaulty and more just set up for retakes?
Yeah, because Oxygen went for a really aggressive last round and got heavy punish and gave a lot of orbs in the process. Showstopper from the shadows, 1 away. Rolling Thunder, lockdown like Dark Zero. This could be a really explosive round, and this could be a huge turning point for them. Being down 7-10. As that usual haunt there from Stellar, from the Shadows fake, from We Did, getting Redux to bite down and look at Rubble as Oxygen takes control of in front of a lobby. And now with the Sonic Sensor up, they'll also try to stop anyone trying to push through, but Dark Zero have already pivoted to the other side of the map.
With a Showstopper too. So now Oxygen is just going to have to give this up. They also have a lockdown that they can play on the retake, or on the pulse plant rather, for Dark Zero. So they're looking pretty good here to leverage these ults to try to get the round.
Redux. With the boom bot, orbital strike too from Verno just to disperse them. As the haunt on mound just to see how close, who has vision from the site. As no. Mitch holding it down gets a double kill. Now Dark Zero on the post plant kind of desperate for those kills and went to chase them, and now they've been locked out of their own site, or at least smoked off their own site, now having to lock down their way back in, and it's an all-out scramble for Oxygen to try and fight through it and to destroy the lockdown. It's a 1v1 batter versus Verno. And it's Dark Zero catching up.
Amazing plays for the last 2 players there from We Did and Adder using that lockdown. I called the oh no because the Showstopper came out and then the Paranoid came through, and then instantly 3 players fall inside the site for Dark Zero. Again, a great change of pace for Oxygen for the retake, not allowing Dark Zero to really set up here that lockdown immediately. And as finally it was desperate measures, it came down to the last 2 players to win a 2 versus 4 on the lockdown, defending it, and then a labored fight between Adder and Verna. That's won. And Dark Zero now finally is finding some sort of groove here on their attack side. And you see even the changes in the positioning there currently 11Q for Oxygen. They're not as aggressive anymore. They went for the standard haunt towards the top of the A side, hold up towards the sites. Now just go for the duels.
2 offense-heavy teams. It's going to come down to who is going to have the better attacking half, because Dark Zero were down tremendous. Make 4 half going Oxygen's way, and Dark Zero get first blooded as Adder went to peek around B, just with nothing but vibes. Now trying to communicate at least where the defender is on the B side. Mitch will be forced back and is decaying. The aftershock gets him jumping. And Dark Zero couldn't catch him crossing in front of the doorway. But with the smokes in place, Dark Zero get the play at Nightfall. Coming from Mitch, allowing Oxygen to retake immediately. But the timing is a bit off. Mitch gets caught and Dark Zero heal for each other. And even with all this noise and in the decay, Dark Zero are still left in the 3v3 as B-Dog gets ready to delay Oxygen even more. Scuba is so low. Redux only has a pink shell. Bruno with nothing. And Dark Zero get hit by the Rolling Thunder. And Oxygen are on the site, and they all get pinged. And Stellar makes the call, and he's at an off angle. And Oxygen are just stuck.
Oh, again, a hero play coming out from We Did from the previous round into this one. It did look like it was big, but it was everything there for Dark Zero to capitalize on that B-side post plan. Because if it wasn't for We Did, you would have probably expended the Rolling Thunder much earlier on that side against the Nightfall that was used here by Mitch. And maybe in the back and forth battle, you probably would have given it right there to how Oxygen has been playing so far. I mean, look at that. A paranoia that came through just behind the Nightfall. He still pushes forward through the smoke to get that pick, to delay enough and to open up the space here so that the last players don't get really affected by the Nightfall. And now it seems to be a play off a tap of an orb where they're gonna just bust open the door for Oxygen, but they're on a Thrifty, they're on a Nico, and this is Dark Zero's opportunity here to tie up the game unless they walk into this trap, and we know how good Oxygen could be on these shares.
All I can think about is FBI open up as they just come out the door and kick Dark Zero in the face. But this is a stalemate. It really is a chess match. All the pawns on the left, Scuba the Knight in Shri.
It's orb or door, and that will activate the paranoia coming out here from Scuba, and then they'll just flood through that. So Dark Zero, they have zero idea about this.
Good patience from Oxygen. You already heard Dark Zero putting some fire down. There's some paranoia. Stellar explodes. FBI open up. Oxygen storm the trenches. Dark Zero try to escape through a lobby, but some are just unable to. So Corey and friends will be forced to fight. And it's really not that bad. 2-1.
30 seconds left.
In favor of Dark Zero.
And thankfully, the turret never saw anybody pushing out towards B. So now Adder takes the opportunity to open that area, hold it on towards that side, and especially on a 1 versus 2 when Verna was there and damaged some players and upgrades the weapon. That's definitely the call here from Stellar for the last 2 players to pivot towards C. And now Adder is going to cut the rotate. Has an alarm bot watching the waterfall. He's watching spawn. So this will give plenty of audio cues for the last 2 players to now set up.
Ooh. Verno's been sussed out. But hey, keeping this rifle would be really nice, and it's not going to happen. Just, you got to look at both sides of the road before you cross, and Adder has had a really great game.
Yeah.
So 10-10. We have a game on our hands.
Definitely a game on our hands, and already burning the second time out for Oxygen. This is the same story once again when you're trying to figure out how to play this composition without this Killjoy, without the Cypher, without being able to get some active information here on the side of the defense. You kind of just have to use your body towards it. And again, the slow pacing that's coming out from Dark Zero is really catching Oxygen Esports off on how they could play into the mid rounding. Once they clear the wave of util and they get the spots that they want. So this is very, very nicely displayed so far from Dark Zero, from the IGL of Stellar. And again, I've repeated this a couple of casts ago, but this, I think now they have support from Data as well, from T1, as he was coaching out on that side, has experience coaching with TSM also in the past year with Eng, if I'm not mistaken, when they had that TSM roster in the past too. So there's a little bit more help coming through these timeouts that allows Stellar here to have some cleaner calls.
And in the last interview, Corey said that his team thrives under pressure in these higher stakes situations. And they really thrive off of those vibes, like I said before.
Yeah.
And for Dark Zero to be down, to go up against Oxygen, who are a top team in their own right, but also on their best map of Lotus. Oxygen were undefeated 5-0 over this regular season. Dark Zero have come back from a heavy deficit to now tie things up. Now with equal buys, Dark Zero Not going to throw their usual haunt there out of A, at least. It was going to take control of C from the shadows being activated from We Did scouting on the site. Will ping the two of Oxygen that are there. Inferno smokes will come up, so Dark Zero's synergy on how they execute the site is everything.
Now the wall was thrown early here by Dapper. What really do you have left? And there's still a minute on the clock. So now you can open the door, set the paranoia, trying to see where the push is going to be. Look at the pivots coming back from Stellar. He's trying to see if there's any pushes coming out from A main. If it stays fairly quiet for the next couple of seconds, maybe they might try to pivot back through the door towards B. And with a deep haunt like that doesn't scan anything, that might be the call to pivot right away towards the A side.
Yeah, just Dark Zero are not going to get through that with a molly, with the barrier from the deadlock. At least they did shoot it down, so it does create a sense of stress from Oxygen to not rotate out of C quite yet. The door was opened into B, and it could be a fake, but Scuba gets caught, and Adder makes an opening, and now a second kill too from Dark Zero. They have two options. They've already opened up A and B. And it's forced to rotate out of Oxygen to stack it to B. The plant is going down. Smokes are up for Oxygen. Everyone's getting creeped up on as Stellar falls too. The main advantage is still for Dark Zero. Corey, confident in this engagement, especially off the util from B-Dog throwing the fault line to push Oxygen back as B-Dog capitalizes on that moment, but Redux sneaks up from behind with the showstopper and hopes to claw Oxygen back into the site. Inferno and Redux doing their best, but with the angles that Dark Zero have, it's just too much.
That was perfect displays of lurks coming through there from Adder. Again, great mid-rounding call coming out from Stellar, avoiding the haunt, pushing through, keeping Redux at bay. And while they're doing that, they think that they've weakened out the B side, although Oxygen still had two players pivoted inside, anchored inside B. But Adder winning that 1v1 against Scuba, allowing We Did to paranoia into a Hobbit, into Unbreakable, into Baby Door to get that blind kill for Dark Zero and overtake that B side was everything. I think Dapper may have netted himself at the same time too when he's trying to escape, but I'm not too sure. But desperate time, desperate measures, time to fight for A side control on the defensive side. And look at Dark Zero, all of them waiting towards the spawn still.
And Redux went for that knowing that Stellar throws haunts usually at that A lobby side, but knew if he could get any information that there was a stack of Dark Zero there, an orbital strike could rain down on them in the worst of ways. So Oxygen and get the trap play they were hoping for. Now with the sonic sensor up, Oxygen are pretty comfortable with their map control the right side. Dark Zero pushing through the center. And Mitch, timing here, is he going to be swung on before he can throw his fastball? There's the Prowler, knowing that they're close. Redux is there to support, but they're not set up for trades. So Mitch is going at the three-man orbital strike from Verno. He's been waiting for that.
I have the spike.
That is incredible.
Yeah, that is something that should have been known here for Dark Zero. That was going to be a C's orbital strike if it wasn't going to be a C's nade coming through.
30 seconds
And Dark
left.
Zero trying to pivot forward. They got caught there from that util from Oxygen. Very, very nicely done. And this might be the saving grace here to tie up the game once again. But Dark Zero, it was their turn to string so many rounds on their side. They still have good economy here.
12 seconds left. Oh, Dapper at least goes 1 for 1. We Did in a 1v3. He's been in this position before, but with 5 seconds left, I mean, the enemy is close and nothing more you can do there. We are tied 11-11 after Oxygen finally get a second round in this half. Because, geez, Dark Zero's offense was out of control.
Indeed, and I love the play from Weeded towards the end too. Like this orbital strike, the C's orbital strike, they had the perfect nades on the other side too to not allow Redux to get any type of util to support here on that Fate C's. But man, that orbital strike, that's some 100 stuff on Bind, signature moves right there. But that said, we talked about it economy being very good. I like that we did tapped on the spike too instead of going for a full plant because he's trying to keep it expensive here for Oxygen. If he could take down another weapon or two, this is going to still be a very costly round for the defensive side of Oxygen. But we're tied 11-11. This is the biggest swing around here. If they get reset though for Oxygen, they're also not going to be in the best of buys. The Sixth Sense.
He knows Pepe left. What the heck? Dark Zero get the first blood off Scuba and the one and done. Now with the showstopper leading the way, this puts the fear in the eyes of Oxygen, not only in this round, but on a map that Oxygen haven't lost all season. Dark Zero take full control of the site with smokes at the back.
Ooh.
So be a free plant, but no one smoked off Waterfall, no one had eyes on it, so Dark Zero still pull out ahead, but can't slip up like that against a team like Oxygen.
Thankfully, there are players there too, and the last 2 players stuck inside the site. Maybe they want to commit, but yeah, they're gonna fight this.
One enemy remaining.
It's all up to Redux. He's been a star on Oxygen before. We haven't had a good clutch in this game just because of how evenly matched these 2 teams are, and Redux just needs to save the weapon at this point.
And you kind of wish he had a second player saving with them when I think it was Vernal, right? Because look at Vernal's money. He's at 150. Scuba's at 400. The next buy that you have, thankfully, Redux, I mean, with this reset, it's 1900. He could drop this rifle for Vernal, and he could still have a pretty decent buy. But if they had that extra rifle, this could have been like full util, full shields for a lot of the players instead of just 2 of them with half shields. And look at Dapper. No sonic sensor in this round either. And a stinger for Scuba. You needed that extra rifle. And look at the ults that you have on the attack side for Dark Zero. They have everything in the recipe, in the melting pot, to have a recipe for success and finally get a win here on this map of Lotus against the undefeated team on this map, Oxygen Esports.
Dark Zero, this is for the win. Haunt being destroyed. Usual strat for Dark Zero. Now the Prowlers just see how close Oxygen are. Are they around the baby door side? Dark Zero finally gets some peeks on. They haven't put smokes on stairs.
Bring them down.
They want Oxygen to see them. They want to see their future, whether it's an L or not. Dark Zero start to approach. They also, once they tap the orb, they don't know what's on the other side of that baby door. They gotta be ready. They were not ready. They were not ready. Oxygen just kick it down. And Dark Zero couldn't even retaliate or trade. Some of Dark Zero members were still in a lobby and Outers watching the flank, so great moment to strike from Oxygen.
They did the same strat except this time with rifles. Yes, 1 less body, but still good enough to do so much damage. And that nullifies now the Nightfall, but at least a Rolling Thunder is still up. Contact play, and that's Rolling Thunder down.
Wait, those are clean. The Nightfall to finish off the third. Oxygen will bring us into OT. 12-12. Oh my god, the rematch of the mid-season Cup Grand Finals that went the way of Oxygen to Dark Zero, getting their revenge weeks later. Oh, and this is lower bracket, right? I can't believe he'd be saying goodbye to any of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the players or a lot of the fans right now watching this game or following Challengers would probably think that whoever wins this game would be the second team that's guaranteed to go to Ascension, as we're sending 2 right now from the NA Challengers over to the Ascension in Monterrey, Mexico, against 2 teams from LATAM, 2 teams from Brazil. And Dark Zero and Oxygen have been 2 teams at the top of the North American Challenger scene since stage 1. And it's only normal that this is going to go back and forth into a close game. Dark Zero back on the defensive side. Dark Zero looking to pinch in for a C-side hit with 2 players on mound. Breach helping out towards B main and potentially even a door opening to help out on the C-side. But for Oxygen, they don't want any of those smokes that were thrown here at the entrance of the C-side. They pivot towards A.
Oxygen definitely had a good offensive half.
Bring them down.
Now the Prowler to clear stairs. Boombot through tree. Oxygen, good coordination so far. Paranoia right through the site just in case Dark Zero were playing up close and personal. Smokes in the way. With Redux being aggressive. The execute is complete and now Oxygen have to just play the post plant with all 5 alive. And you do not want to let Dark Zero go to offense. But Redux has already spotted 2, but just panicked. Too many targets for him to shoot. Instead, plays patient around. Stellar is already low. Dark Zero starts to swing, and it's a first blood in favor of the defense. And Mitch is stunned and did his best, but it's Dark Zero that just have better utility on this retake. Spike being tapped. Oxygen have to take a peek. Trying to be as patient as they can as B-Dog emerges. He gets 2, and Dapper trades with 2 of his own, but the defuse this will go through for Dark Zero.
Dapper could have been one of those other moments once again outside of A main, clutching a moment with the spike planted for his side. And he's been so good at that position in those very moments where unfortunately didn't have the support of his teammates to make this even doable on his end. They all try to fight back. They try to push back and flip the map for the remaining members, as you saw once again Dark Zero flitting back towards the A side. And unfortunately here for Oxygen, they couldn't hold the post plan, which now allows Dark Zero to have redemption, to go back into map point where they couldn't even leverage our ults in round number 24, and are hoping to do so with now some stellar calling coming out from the IGL and how they want to work the mid round.
Yeah, Dark Zero went 7-1, I think, at the start of their offense. It just looked unstoppable. They're gonna do what they do best. They are getting seized right now, so Corey's gonna take a second as the Prowler swims by. Oxygen have Sonic Sensors 2 at B. First blood for the defense. The Dark Zero can't even safely cross in to see it. When they do, it's a crunch from Oxygen and say goodbye to Corey. And Dark Zero have to do this at a deficit, and now they're split up a little bit as they try to regroup. And Oxygen are also pushing out of B. They don't want to be over-eager either. Dark Zero regroup and stabilize.
And they can't. Now they use the aftershock to hit towards that door. They don't have an aftershock to try to clear out the space inside the C side. They have to wait to barrier mesh. Thankfully, there's still a lot of time left on the clock where they could maybe try to walk in contact against Dapper. Knowing that this wall is here, okay, well, they're going to break it now. Forget that. They're going to rush in now for the hit.
Stellars went away from Nightfall. We could pull off a kill here. Oxygen have Dapper front and center with Mitch and Waterfall, but he's isolated away from the duel, and the paranoia allows Dark Zero to step in. And a beautiful smoke from We Did Too blocks a lot of the vision from Oxygen. And now that dissipates, it's time for Oxygen to brawl. And the spike has been tapped, but it's not planted yet. 14 seconds left. This is for the Dark Zero win, or Oxygen to extend this. And so far, it's just Oxygen have a full hold on this defense.
Hey, it was such a good gravity net being thrown there by Dapper on that second wave of Dark Zero trying to pinch back towards the mound that actually caught a player, allowed another pit to come through. But Verno was that first one at the point, inside the smoke, winning that fight against Adder, and he's able to finally get something here that's good for Oxygen. We know that Verno in these overtime moments, in these games that they've had here in the past matches, has been popping off in the overtime games. And here he is popping off once again. That one single kill that he had on Adder did not allow Dark Zero to fully pivot back into the C site. And now that was a beautiful hold towards the end. We go once again into extra innings, but now the timeout being called by Oxygen. Once again, despite them winning the round, despite them tying the game, they need to figure out how they can work their attack side apparently now against Dark Zero.
Ooh, everybody just needs to calm down all the way, like just breathe, because when you're too hasty, you can sometimes make decisions, maybe sometimes the wrong ones, or even sometimes the right ones, but when the rest of the team isn't on the same page, that's what really matters. Because you could have a foolproof plan from scrims, but it's how you execute it in the highest of stakes, in the lower bracket of our Challengers playoffs, for a chance to go to Ascension. And so far, both defenses in overtime have won after domination on offenses on both sides as well. So Oxygen will be leading the way on A lobby first.
Yeah, it's a rare moment too, because we were talking about how difficult it was going to be for Oxygen to play defensive side when they struggled here against M80 on this map on their defensive end, but they're able to make it work so far. Both teams actually having strong defensive side despite the struggles of the first halves.
Oxygen not wanting to linger, and even while Mitch was messed up by Util, he still fires the B-Dog. Double kill from Adder as Oxygen were still clearing corners. Kind of lucky timing. Still 3v3 as Oxygen get ready to plant. They'll have the barrier on staircase. This will cut off Corey with the op. He's not going to get good sight lines on the flank too, as we did, but nowhere close. Prowler on the top. The Stellar.
That's the biggest thing.
More in the tank.
Both of them staying back towards that spawn so that Weeded can find that timing. Make sure that there's nobody towards Baby Door so they could pinch and run after. So Weeded has to start pushing up a little bit more quickly so that the rest could react on that pinch.
No more util from Oxygen. Now door being open. There's the timing. Weeded starting the crunch. Corey. Boombot past the smoke. Oh, it misses Verno, and we thought he was safe to push up as Verno it's a pillar for Oxygen. And it's just Stellar, and he doesn't have time left over. Orbital strike. Oxygen, match point.
How do you get an overall strike? Because Vernal once again pops off in the overtimes. And it was looking so good because when Adder got those 2 kills and information on the third player inside tree, and they noticed the utility that was being thrown towards the A side, there was a great opportunity for Widget to start that flank. They were in positions. He tried to have a timing with the paranoia, but when he threw that and it actually missed Verno, the smoke never dissipated towards the entrance of the A site that was dropped by Verno. So there was no opportunities there for Corey to really move in and for them to really pinch in towards that site of A. And now Oxygen have an opportunity to close out this first map. They've been successful in this overtime on the defensive side, and Dark Zero won the fight once again into B.
Corey just satcheling in. We haven't seen Dark Zero just go straight into B, not unscathed anyway. And now Pain Shells to pressure at the top. The B-link door into C is opening, causing a lot of panic as Dark Zero are stuck on the site without a spike being planted. And they're hoping to catch Oxygen, and they do. Oxygen or Dark Zero start to push out, and they get first blood. It was back-to-back OT rounds for Oxygen. And now as they just swing out one by one, it's easy for Dark Zero to get trades, and the advantage is still for Dark Zero. Now with only a haunt remaining, Stellar just has to get timing, and Dark Zero just hold on and creep past smokes. But Mitch gets a good catch. He's got a 1v3 to give Oxygen the map win. We'll tap the spike. Got the lineup. No, just the teamwork from Dark Zero was too much.
And that's what you were mentioning here. Dark Zero is saying that they could thrive under the pressure. Going into the B side, there was a first wave of delays, and they didn't try to scramble around and go for a plan and play post plan or anything. They just waited inside the site for a bit, tried to listen carefully for footsteps. Once the action resets, they went for a double swing down towards tree to get that first pick, allowing for the plant to go down. And then you had great delays coming through from nanoswarms being placed by Adder on both waterfall side and both towards baby door. And that biggest kill that you had from Corey onto Scuba did not allow Oxygen to have a smoke for the defuse. And that haunt though gets a lot of information on the defensive side for Dark Zero to start. That pinged out 3 players at the very beginning. It forces out a very early rotate though from Dark Zero because they know that Oxygen's been very good on death balling with the utility that you have out from Dapper. But instead now it's just going to be a jump spot coming in from tree. From staircase, and that's going to be coming out from B-Dog. But as it gets smoked out here, this now resets the whole tension on how Dark Zero is going to try to find information. Prowler came out. They realized that there's nobody close towards C, so that might be a call now to start leading a little bit more here towards mid or A.
Yeah, and if Oxygen pivot into B, there's the KJ turret at the corner, and even B-Dog at A. I could pinch from the other side if Oxygen go to B, so this is a tough decision, and Oxygen don't know what we know. And with Mitch's lurk causing noise on the left side of the map, brings out some util, but he can't live on forever. And Oxygen don't have someone safe that can lead them into the site.
Ooh.
But Redux has satchels, and Oxygen deal with the KJ turret, and now they got fault line, they got paranoia, and Oxygen lived through because Dark Zero can't punish it yet. And Redux just tries to be elusive and fast. And Stellar is stoic. 13 seconds left as Oxygen are brought down to 2. And this pivot to B, it started off well, but it got weakened to the point of destruction.
Oh, again, so good here from Dark Zero, just looking at the position, how people are moving around through the chaos. Oxygen tried to pinch through that breakable door, go back into the B site, and you talked about that turret being broken down, but the nanostorm was still there to delay. A smoke was thrown, a paranoia was thrown as well from We Did, and what did Adder do? Push out towards B main to see if it could hear for footsteps, and if not, and somehow Oxygen have breached inside the B site, that was going to be a backside that could have been crucial there for Dark Zero to even capitalize on rounds. So they had so many layers to win that round with so little few seconds left in the hands of Oxygen. And now Oxygen looking to be pressured, haunt being thrown, pings out We Did towards rubble, and they're fighting back towards B main.
Back-to-back rounds for Dark Zero. Still hoping to play upset. Oh, some good damage. Mish is tagged. And now he'll have to play a lot safer. Oxygen were really testing the waters with that early peek from Redux and Mitch. Getting good information that Dark Zero haven't made any too forward of moves. B. A B pivot again, along with the paranoia from We Did. Dark Zero put pressure onto Oxygen, and it's the same setup of Mitch and Redux waiting at B, but it was all a fake. Dark Zero start to hit into tree. There is a sonic sensor in their way, so how are Dark Zero gonna be affected by this? It's yet another fake. They just keep opening this door, and as they're standing still, Oxygen start to encroach on their territory and find first blood on Adder.
Everything's being read so far by Oxygen. They didn't even move at all. Desperate time is on to move inside the B side, and there's already 2 players here.
30 seconds left.
Oh, they see the satchel. Dark Zero have to deal with that first, and the pink shell forces Redux down to the ground and into the loving arms of 3 enemies. Redux with a huge dent into Dark Zero. This is the overtime that never ends. And Corey hopes to end it shortly, but a 1v3, 2 players tagged on Oxygen. Spike planted, oh! Good shots, but not enough to kill Verno.
How the hell did Redux get 3 kills like that when there's paint shells being thrown by Corey through the window inside the B site? And he lands those kills before he gets picked off. And yeah, this is, I mean, at this point, someone should draw. Just get 1 or each, and let's just call this one a draw and continue to the second map. But jokes aside, though, this is now Oxygen doing such a good job, being fooled by the pressure that was being thrown out here from Dark Zero in the first place. When we talked about that paranoia that they pushed out towards this Hobbit door for Dark Zero, nobody moved on the A side. They still trusted the sonic sensor. They still had a breach out there to fault line if there was sonic sensors that was going to get tripped up towards tree. So again, a heavy lean towards this B and A side for Dark Zero, where at least for Oxygen, where at least for Dark Zero, they didn't really try to read the map and try to figure out where their opponents could be. And the amount of times that they did that so far, they've been punished for Dark Zero, and they haven't really been flooding correctly, if I could put it that way, on their attack side because of the lack of information that they're getting in this early mid round. So this is actually pretty good here coming out from Oxygen, and a nice little change that they had on the defensive side.
I saw We Did fist pumping, so he's so pumped for this.
Dude, I love that guy.
I love that. And also the battle of 2 incredible duelists. Corey, a veteran in esports. Redux, young blood, but so hungry for Ascension and wanting to prove himself. But what a challenge this has been for both these teams to get through to each other after this Dark Zero timeout. See what they end up with. 3 stacked. 1-3-1. AJ on the right side. Oh!
Nice attempt.
We did. Almost fist bumped 6 feet under there after getting tagged up. So Oxygen around the corner with the Prowler being thrown there from Stellar just to see or catch them if Oxygen were going to hit it right away to run after We Did when they tagged him. Now that they're smoked off, Oxygen can play the mind games. They're going to open the door and get the attention of Corey and B-Dog at B.
Teams are starting to figure out how good of a value the net from Deadlock is. So good here for the team. It's not just about the wall. Sonic sensors, I mean, who cares? But it's those nets that are so good that if it actually catches players, that could have been huge there for a first pick coming out from Oxygen to kick things off. But We Did also falls back inside the side wounded. So you're going to have to keep some players anchored up. And you see how passively they're playing towards the A side now, which once again allows Oxygen to hit towards an A side that's basically open. And you know what happens when you give space here to Oxygen. They're going to take that, and hopefully they'll play in sight this time around so they can fight against the flood retake.
30 seconds
Oxygen already had Nano Swarm, delaying them a bit, so they know this Killjoy is around, and Oxygen pushed up and are trying to play below the rope, and the orbital strike at the back. Adder couldn't escape. Oxygen, great reads on when and where this retake was coming from for Dark Zero. 5 versus 3 on the pulse plant in favor of Oxygen. And Redux, he will not settle with just that. He heard the satchel from Corey, and he didn't go into the site. So could be expecting him on top of the box, trying to get some vision on top of the box, and Corey is clean with the swing. But now he has to pull up a 1v3, and even he can't pull off the impossible. Oxygen, again, with match point.
And that's exactly what you wanted to see from Oxygen. Post-plant, fight towards the spawn, and use util to fight. And it started off with the Boombot 2, placed by Redox at the very beginning here on top of Heaven. So as it pings players, as it actually clears out a little bit of space, then it allows Dark Zero to really creep up behind the A site and then fight back in that area. So that was very nice. There's been a lot of moments here that that Dark Zero has been doing good on flood retakes or quick flanks, and staying within the sites did not give a chance here for Dark Zero to capitalize on a round. Once again, match point, but this time for Oxygen, and this time Oxygen once again on the defense.
And back-to-back rounds for Oxygen. Hoping to continue their flawless run on Lotus. To set themselves up for success in this series. Now 2 from Oxygen, hold C. The sonic sensor hoping to limit everyone behind Corey that would satchel in. Dark Zero with the mind games. They also have 3 looking towards B, seeing if Oxygen, with that round advantage, would they be aggressive enough to extend past their post? And the spike is still left behind, and it looks like Corey will be left to lurk and still look for that opening.
Yeah.
Once the barrier is destroyed, is that going to be the site they hit?
That's exactly what you want here. Finally spreading across the map and breaking util. So that finally is going to spread the defensive thin this time for Oxygen and give a chance for Dark Zero to really hit as a group. And you called it. They are going to pivot towards the seaside. Late lurk from Adder, but there's still one more sonic sensor here that could stall it for a bit.
Oh, and a net. But Corey has a wall on the other side, and we went to give him the band-aid, and he's the one who's suffering now. Oxygen, a man up, it is traded. Dark Zero. It's not a battle, but it's a war. The 2 best teams we have in Challengers, but Corey was left on his own and had to peek in a waterfall, and Adder with a huge double kill to save this for Dark Zero, to tie this in OT yet again. And Verno is down to 25 health, and the Seas has already found him, so the high-low a little bit off, but Verno will get one. Let Dark Zero tie it up again.
Is there a timeout that we can use for casters so we can use the bathroom here? Because this is going to go on forever. But you know what? I'm here for it the whole time. This has been some... I'd like to say clean Valorant coming through, because in moments where it looks like it's very brawly and you're fighting and you're just looking in all angles and there's a bunch of util being thrown left and right and hero plays coming through, there's still adaptation that goes from round to round and from timeouts to timeouts that you're starting to see here, them how they're currently working together here, both of these teams, on how they want to try to capitalize and close in this first map. But I don't think there should be any timeouts left this time around, so all of the responsibilities coming down to Stellar and to Mitch on both ends, as Oxygen once again looking to challenge towards C with a full KJ setup from Adder.
And a scuba smoke to deny the one-way placed by We Did. And another smoke to delay Oxygen right at C. And We Did still has a paranoia and wants to be in position to get Oxygen, but also be safe to maybe retreat into Waterfall if there's a bit too much smoke being delivered there. But Oxygen just kind of defaulting right now with alert from Scuba deep in A.
And this is going to be a second wave hit towards the seaside, but because they haven't broke any of this utility yet from the very beginning, there's still going to be some good stalls. Alarm bot could trigger the paranoia. Nano swarms too. Hopefully the satchel from Redox going in could break some of that util.
Oh no! Teleporting into the smoke is crazy! Scuba gets punished. And Oxygen will have to go into the site without paranoia, without as many smokes. Verno still has a molly, but Oxygen are just still trying to find their footing. And getting the trade makes this more winnable. The spike is down, and Dark Zero has sensed their weakness, but Redux will not let his team lose, not on his watch. Now the Nightfall, the retake from Dark Zero, 12 seconds left, and Oxygen can't even organize. Another wave of offense.
Okay, this time it got a little bit of chaotic when you see players just trying to jump across and trying to survive at that point. But that fall line coming behind the nanoswarms did one delay, but two almost got a combo kill. Wombo combo onto Redux trying to satchel in. He actually made it inside the site towards the bend at like 40 HP left. So again, not breaking utility going into the seaside, not getting the satchels to break that util, not getting paint shells to break the KJ util was really the demise now for Oxygen trying to enter towards the site. And now the tides have turned for the 69th time. Dark Zero back at that point.
Nice. Okay, Dark Zero, have control of Mound. The usual setup from Oxygen. The barrier going to be thrown. Sonic sensor's still there. Paint shells towards the player out of the corner, and the net again from Oxygen catches Dark Zero, but they come out ahead. Dark Zero come out ahead of the exchange and can't get Dapper on the retreat. Waterfall being smoked off. Boombot to see who else is nearby, and Dapper re-swings that before reinforcements were ready, and that's a slip up. And this is match point for Dark Zero, and they got the plant down. Scuba and Redux have to do this without a paranoia, but we're with Redux fully kitted out. Can he peak for Oxygen? It's a good start for Scuba. Through the smoke, Scuba just paves his own way and evens up the numbers. And the lineups are not there. Redux is better. And we did. Dark Zero had a 4 versus 2, and they're choking. Oxygen, tie it up.
Scuba once. I mean, I can't say once again because this is the first time I see him pop off in this overtime and save the round for Oxygen. I was pretty much done at that point and praise Dark Zero. Now good. They entered toward the site. They got denied the last time they tried to work towards C. But what did they change this time around? They went for satchels, and this time we did also TP'd across so that he doesn't have to fumble trying to get across the net here from Dapper. So that split enough the map. That got some space that allowed there finally a plant to go down for Dark Zero and potentially even win that series or win the first map until Scuba came in and won the round here for Oxygen to keep this once again into a tied game.
Man, this isn't even grand finals, but this is a rematch of one from the mid-season cup, and it went all the way to that deciding map until Dark Zero have improved so much over the season to best Oxygen, but who will have the last laugh when a win like this is everything? Say goodbye to your Ascension chances if you lose this series. And Dark Zero fully taking over this site. Oxygen cut at the heel before they even knew what was coming. It's Scuba and Dapper. Dapper keeps it close. Corey heads back. Dark Zero starts to surround their prey. And it's Dark Zero up to 18.
And you're now at a point of the game where you can't really think about the strategies anymore. It comes down to the fundamentals and how much you can maximize the trading space, the swings, the back and forth that could come through here for these wins, because everybody so far has been deathballing for C sites and A sites. No more defaulting coming through. Look at how Dark Zero grouped up once again at map point. I mean, maybe there's going to be a finish or a split towards the B side, but Oxygen this time do not want to give the C side space. They're about to seize Nate in this spot.
Dark Zero
got 4 players
haven't
there.
Won. Yeah, Dark Zero haven't won an offense in a little while. But this is a mound push we haven't seen out of Oxygen. They're putting it all on the line, and Redux gets caught. But at least his team back him up. And that's the type of trust that Oxygen have through thick and thin. And this is a weakened Dark Zero 2 with only Adder and Stellar left and only a Prowler. This is going to be almost impossible.
You talked about a Redux getting caught, but that was a selfless play for him to satchel across, so he breaks crosshair placement and then also allows the Paranoid to follow suit and then see Oxygen to flood through. But we've seen these moments before at disadvantaged positions for Dark Zero that he could turn it around back in their favor, especially with Adder still alive.
This is where you're really testing Oxygen's resilience. And now you're having them look back towards the Fade util that was thrown behind them, and Stellar's running them over. We're just having
30 seconds left.
4 versus 2s being choked back to back. As now Dark Zero have evened things up. The Nightfall, as Stellar shines, everything goes black for Oxygen. As Scuba holds his own, he goes 1 for 1. Dapper versus Adder for the Lotus map win. For Dark Zero, 13 seconds left to plant. Dapper is nowhere nearby.
2 nanos available too for Adder. Alarm turret just came up. This is huge.
Adder's stuck behind this box. Just hoping to hear Dapper come up. Really gambling that he's on the flank. As Dapper starts his clear, they're going to go face to face very soon. Outer already detecting Dapper shooting down his util. Time is running out. Dapper, this is a deadly game of hide and go seek. Outer is netted. It's the fish out of water. But can Dapper get the catch? He taps the spike
today.
and Oxygen will tie.
Oh my god! Adder had 2 nanoswarms on top of that too, but I do understand he doesn't want to give his position away. Yes, maybe the alarm bot went down, maybe the turret went up. Dapper knows that he's playing inside that util, but as soon as he throws a nanoswarm, Dapper will know exactly where that came from and then could guarantee the net to land and win that fight. Thankfully, he just threw one and still got Adder no matter what and just kept him grounded, literally, to be able to clutch that 1v1. That, once again, was almost a 2 versus X loss here by Oxygen, and that would have been very costly. But Dapper, the veteran C, once again, comes back, steps up to the plate, and we're now going into round 37.
We're still trying to check with our stats team. Is this the longest overtime we've had in Challengers? It feels like it. The 2 best teams going head to head. And only one of them could try to reach Ascension, and it's Redux that is already ahead of the game against Corey. It sets Oxygen up. We've had now 4 defensive round wins in a row, as of course it switches side to side here in OT. Will an offense vanquish? This Redux gets tagged through the smoke and has to stay calm.
Triple push, though. This might not get checked.
Oh, Verdo, good catch, but a better trade out of Stellar. But a 4 versus 2, the most cursed number we've had in this OT. It doesn't matter, I guess.
And Adder and Stellar again.
Yep, they've done it before. With a haunt, 2 prowlers. Stellar has a lot of ways to get information, but he's on the other side of the map compared to Adder, and they're trying to link up. And Adder, his position's already discovered. And Oxygen, hide in tree, and Mitch swings out in a solo, gets tagged up, but gets the Adder kill. Now it's just Stellar, who tries to run after where this person in tree was. Stellar, with a prowler, will catch Mitch, but Oxygen again with match point and an offensive round win, which is nice.
A slower tempo this time around as well. And a slower tempo where Dark Zero thought that they had an opportunity to be able to push down and go for that type of play to flank across the A side again. I mean, it turned out to be a nice 1v1 trade in front of B, but they've already lost so many players trying to jump spot, trying to clear out towards A, trying to stall towards the A side that it made it impossible really for the last 2 players to really come back into this one. And especially when Oxygen have been staying inside this A side and been really good since they've been starting to play post plans inside A. So now it's up to Dark Zero to play a little bit more of a default play. Haunts on both ends being thrown, a 2-1-2 setup, and Adder is low on HP where he's pulling out an operator on the attack at round number 38 of all rounds and tried to catch one off guard here in front of A.
It's a tough place to try and swing people with an op, knowing Oxygen are nearby. And when Adder is already low as it is, Redux up close with the boom bot, gets shot around the rock corner. Paranoia right through. This is the moment for Redux to capitalize. He'll get one. Paint shells to force them back into hiding. And we did teleports forward, sacrificing himself for the team. And only 2 remain for Dark Zero. Oxygen for the win. Showstopper. The real show is being put on by Redux. And that is it. Oxygen 20-18 and one of the longest OTs we've seen. We'll take Lotus.
And I think at this point for both of these teams, they want a little bit of a longer break, but that, oh my God, has gone back and forth. And who better than Redux to hold back towards the rubble and get 3 kills like that, force a showstopper out, and just guarantee the round win, the map win for Oxygen. I think if it was going to go any longer, I'm going to have to go shave. But thankfully, it finally finished, but this is only map 1 between these 2 teams.
Yeah, any more rounds and you were going to get older and you're already 40, so it's just...
Jesus, that's a free jab.
You know what? There's been enough damage being done in this lobby after the rounds we experienced, but don't go anywhere. Icebox is coming up. But first, we got to check in if the desk is still alive, so we'll see you after this.
They're probably 40 as well.
Peace.